This presentation was written by Andy, Brandon, and James. In it, we will be discussing the Familiaris Consortio, specifically the section which discusses forming a community of persons. The family in and of itself is a community of persons. It is founded upon and is given life on the basis of love. This family is composed of the husband, the wife, parents, children, and relatives. Its primary task is to live in faith and communion and to have a constant effort of developing a community of persons centered in love. Love is the permanent power and final goal of this task. Without love, the family cannot live in communion and cannot live with faith in one another. It cannot grow and it cannot perfect itself in the eyes of God as a community of religious peoples. The first source of communion in the family is between husband and wife. They are the first in the family to become one. In their communion, they are called to grow continually in their day-to-day fidelity to their promise to one another. The gift of the Spirit for Christian spouses continually enables them to grow into deeper union with one another, as well as continually bringing one another closer to God. This communion between spouses requires that both be totally committed to one another, in an act of total fidelity. This act of fidelity is a symbol of the everlasting love God has for man, and of the everlasting love Christ has for the church. This communion between husband and wife transfers on to the bond between parents and children, brothers and sisters, and all relatives to one another. As a single unit in communion with one another, the family works with one another to overcome the challenges of life. The family finds the strength to continually do so by having faith and seeking help from God and the church. In the family unit, all members have equal dignity and unalienable rights. Women, in particular, have their role revealed through their role in salvation history. An example of this is the role of Mary, the Mother of God, who began Christ's journey on earth, all the while taking care of her Son. Jesus also first appeared to women after rising from the dead. God gives equal rights and dignity to men and women, and to ensure this, he manifests the dignity of women by giving them these roles in salvation history. Although both women and men are given equal rights and dignity in the eyes of God, there still exists inequality between them. Women are often victims of a mindset that human beings are objects, and are bought, sold, and abused as such. This directly contradicts God's intentions in creating woman and man. Because of this contradiction, society has formed a natural bias and discrimination towards women, in both social and economic situations. God intended for every person, woman or man, to be his image here on earth. If this intention is to be made a reality, this social discrimination must be brought to an end. Men, for their part, are called to be a loving husband and a caring father. He will always see his wife as nothing less than what God has intended for her, which is to be his equal. A man's love for his wife is simultaneously gentle and strong, as it must emulate Christ's love for the church. Through this love, and with love for his children, a man can fulfill his duty as husband and father. To show this love for his children, a man must be present and active in their lives, as his absence can cause irreversible psychological damage. He must maintain the peace in his family, and must embody his role as educator to his children, a role which he shares with his wife. Within the family, every child has individual dignity and rights. Special attention must be given to children, the need for which grows the younger the child is, and if the child is sick, suffering, and/or handicapped. Fundamental to the relationship between parents and children is constant tender concern and care, the correct application of which is imperative to the well-being of generations to come. In order to achieve this, children must be able to grow in an environment which enables both their mental and emotional education. On the role of the elderly, the Church has a duty to reveal the dignity and rights of this essential role in the family. While some cultures venerate their elders and hold them in high esteem, others cast them aside, condemning them to an existence of suffering. This ostracism of the elderly both violates their dignity and rights as individuals living in the Church, as well as preventing the rest of the family unit from benefiting from the wisdom and experience the elderly have to offer. The elderly are also uniquely able to bridge generation gaps and allow their grandchildren to find understanding in their love.